Hello fellow stickerists, this is Jameson with a contact staff tutorial video on the Matrix. This entire video is based on a stretch routine that I came up with that really helped to open up my pathways and clean up my matrix and make it very continuous. If you appreciate the videos that I put out, if you've learned something from them, I would really appreciate some reciprocation on that and the consideration of purchasing a contact staff that I've made for you. You can find information on that down in the About section as well as at the end of this video. This is what it's going to look like whenever you've got everything together. Looks cool, huh? And here's a cross section so you can see how far back I've been. Awesome. Okay, so part one, it's a modification of the warrior and triangle poses from yoga. You need your feet about almost twice the width of your shoulders apart. Back leg straight with your knee and pigeon-toed with your foot. And then the front leg, your knee slightly bent at a 45 and straight ahead. Arms out at a T, you're going to stretch your torso out over your leg and then twist at your hip and try to reach down and grab a hold of your foot with like your left hand versus your left foot, or right versus right. You're going to reach your hand up to the sky and try to look up at your hand. And you should really feel that stretch out the hip, up the rib cage, and into the armpit. Once that's kind of comfortable, you're going to want to start trying to reach back further than just straight up in the air. The further back you can go from here and keep your balance, the better. And once that's feeling good, you can go ahead and reach out further into triangle pose and try to align your leg and your hip and your ribs and your arm into a straight line, or maybe more like a bow. You should really feel this stretch the whole underside of your leg and your ribs and your armpit and your arm. And this, obviously you might not be able to do this immediately, but this is the kind of angle that you should be going for over time. You should try to do this every time you go to warm up for a contact session. It'll really help out a lot of the pathways. And once that starts to get more comfortable, you need to think about trying to rotate your shoulder and your arm in a circular fashion. You don't really have to have the whole arm involved. It really only requires the shoulder to make this happen, but the arm flailing around kind of gives it an interesting look, I guess. And when you're done stretching there, you go ahead and back out the way that you got in and repeat on the other side. Start off just with your arms straight up, looking straight up. Slowly get into this position, stretch out further as you get longer into it. Reach back further, breathe, and reach out further, and breathe. You can let your head sag if you need to, but it's best to kind of look up and stretch your neck in the middle of this as well. And once it gets comfortable again, start rotating your arm. And don't forget to go back the other direction. And again, this may take you a while to get to where you can manage to pull this stretch off. Don't worry, it comes with time. I was not able to do this when I first started to do the matrix, and that's why my matrix was sloppy. And here's a good cross section of just one side of it. Kind of run through kind of fast so you can see how far back you ought to be trying to reach. And what's really important to remember about this position is what you're aiming for with the staff is for it to have a nice flat surface as it goes through your armpit. The place where generally if it were at, you'd have to pinch it, and otherwise it would just fall. So if your body's underneath it this way horizontally, it can actually carry through the motion and keep the cleanliness of the plane as it travels through that spot. That's why it's so important to try to stretch this out and make sure that you are actually sideways and your armpit is facing the sky. Okay, part two, the limbo. For this one, you're going to want to have both your legs bent and your toes pointing forward, but maybe out a little to the side, kind of like a duck. Both knees bent, and I like to try to warm up for this slowly by stretching out my shoulders and my back and slowly bending my knees and going back a little bit further with each arm I don't know what I want to call this, an arm, yeah, that thing. Bend your knees, throw your arms back, try to put your chin up, or your chest up, and your chin back and down as far as you can. The further you bend, the further you bend back, the more you have to shift your hips over your feet, and the more your knees have to bend. That's kind of the secret to the limbo. Managing to maintain balance with your center of gravity over your feet. And I've been working at this for probably 2 years now, and that's why I am able to bend back as far as I can. You can, it's kind of like doing a back bend. If you've ever done one of those in gymnastics, but you're not reaching your arms up and out over your head, more so back and out to your side. See how far I can go here. Yeah. Okay, part 3, the folds. This time you want your feet right about shoulder width apart. You're going to reach your arms up over your head and clasp your hands together, twist to one side, and then try to stretch over onto one leg. And you want your right arm stretching around over to the outside of the heel of your left leg. And you should really feel that stretch the lower back, as well as the leg at the same time. And don't forget to breathe. Breathing is important. Try to stretch back out the way you came in, and then repeat around over to the other side. It's kind of like you're making a rainbow with your arms. Isn't that pretty? And don't forget to reach around over with the opposite arm onto the outside of the opposite leg. And breathe. That's good. You can have your knees bent slightly while you're doing this, particularly in the beginning. I don't think I'm able to keep my knees straight while I'm doing that just yet myself. And when it starts to feel pretty good and you're comfortable, start repeating it back and forth, going all the way up over your head and then back around to the other side. It strengthens the lower back and the core and stretches out everything that's strong and supportive in your lower back. So now, part 4, let's start combining all 3 of these sections into one movement that duplicates the matrix. So, like with the limbo, you're going to want to have a wide stance with your legs, knees bent, and then start working that hand down to the ankle, and the opposite arm up and around in a spiral, slowly back into the limbo position, and then around to the other side to the other leg, and then a spiral the other way with your arm. And try to touch the middle. I like to try to touch the middle in between so that I'm getting a full stretch of my back and my legs in this process, and not just focusing on the only muscles at the top that are kind of in play with the staff, but more so keeping attention toward the supportive muscles down below everything. And don't forget to try to do this in the reverse direction. My matrix really only works greatly in one direction, and I believe that repeating this over and over through the stretch will definitely help to clarify everything with my body mechanics and get my opposite direction matrix nice and clean as well. So here's a good cross section of everything so you can once again see how far back you should be leaning. And I kind of overdo this, by the way, just so that I'm making sure to stretch everything really well. I don't need to lean back quite that far to get the front side of the throat wrap to happen, but it's good to have that flexibility. If the staff's not moving fast enough, or if it's in the wrong place, you may need to make a last-minute adjustment. And if you're flexible enough to bend back that far and correct something that needs to be corrected that far, then it's that much better for your flow. So it's always a little better to go further than you need to. Obviously, consult your physician before doing this, as well as try to do it regularly. And if it hurts, don't do it anymore. Should be nice and warm after all this, ready to box somebody or dodge some bullets. Here's me trying it the other way. I think I got my arm spiral going the wrong direction on one shoulder here. That's right. Throat, and then no, yeah, see, I did that one the wrong way. That could be a matrix substitution though, possibly. So that's it for this video. Please drill it for a while, get comfortable, get fluid, get limber, and when you're ready, come back and check out part 2 of the Matrix 101, where I'm going to break down all the standard as well as a number of variations of the Matrix. It's going to get tricky, Lester. Hey guys, so check this out. The staff you saw me using in this tutorial video is actually one of my own design. I actually make and sell these to the public as well. It was actually just a fire staff that I've dressed up with a little bit with some color on it so that you could see it better in the video, and I also use it this way a lot for stage performances if I can't use fire. But this is what it looks like underneath all of it. It's actually a double wick fire staff, and I use 2-inch wide Kevlar and 2 feet of Kevlar on every wick or more. And I hand stitch all the wicking so that the Kevlar actually has a longer lifetime, and you don't have any exposed metal and screws to come into impact and break or cause damage to you or anything else that they might come into play with. And it's aircraft grade aluminum 6061, which is only the best. It does not bend under most conditions. It's very difficult to do anything to that aluminum, and the grip is actually a tacky, rubberized, pliable overgrip that works much better than the foamy, padded, impact-resisting grips that I see a lot of other manufacturers put on their staves that don't actually do anything for contact staff. They just slide right off you most of the time. And center point is actually glow tape so that you can see it in the dark. When you're doing tosses or on a dark night when the flame is blinding you from everything else, you will not have a problem seeing that center point. But yeah, I make and sell these. I've got a lot of research and development into them, and that's exactly what I use, and that's why it looks so smooth, because these are smooth, and I make sure that that's the case. But if you're interested in getting one, you can check us out online at Firetech Shop on Etsy.com or on our website, firetechnicians.com. And thanks a lot for watching, everybody. I hope you learned something, and keep spinning.